Hey, what's up? I'm Seth, and let's get right into it. The big question, should I share with my kids the final episode of the Disney Plus series, Loki? All right, let's just get right into it. I'm going to give a light spoiler warning, just because I assume you're coming to watch this review because you haven't watched the episode yet, and you want to see if you would watch it with your kids when you watch it the first time. That's kind of what I'm assuming. Maybe you've already watched it, maybe you haven't. But I'm going to give a light spoiler warning because it's really hard to talk about what I thought for my kids without revealing a little bit. But I'm going to try really hard not to reveal too much so that's still a surprise for you. Let's get right into it. So, first of all, the big question, would I share this episode with my kids? I mean, I keep almost expecting something huge and weird that would make it so I would not want to share this series with my kids. The answer, though, right from the beginning is yes, I would share this final episode with my kids, which is great because, it's been a 6-episode road, and I really wanted to finish, this season together, and I didn't want to have something that was super uncomfortable or weird or something that I just personally didn't feel like I should share with my kids. But luckily, I feel like I would share it, and let me tell you why. First of all, what I liked about this episode is that you do get some big answers, which is great. I mean, there's been some big questions brought up in this series, and I've really liked kind of, following the trail of breadcrumbs and going from one episode to another. But we do get some big answers in this episode, and that's really fun. I'm not going to reveal what they are. I'm just going to tell you that that's something I liked, and I think that's going to be satisfying to watch with your kids. On the flip side of that, though, there are a lot more questions that come up after this episode, but I felt like it was done in a good way. If you know anything about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know that they're gearing up for some pretty big movies. The events in this show in Loki are going to affect that. I think we already know that. It's going to make you and your kids also want to watch season 2, which, if it's as fun as the first one, would be great. And the final thing I liked about this episode is Loki's overall journey. I mean, you get to see his journey in this season go from being this really big villain, trying to take over New York, fighting all the Avengers, to this guy who's really just trying to find answers, who's actually trying to do more good than he had before. I won't reveal much more than that, but you do see the overall journey of this character, and it's great. It's fun, and I think it's a good journey for my kids to experience. All right, so that's what I liked about this episode. What didn't I like? I mean, it's silly, this first thing, but there is one jump scare. So if you watched the last episode, hopefully you did, so this will be some spoilers for that. But at the very end of the episode, they defeat the big smoke monster, and they go into this castle. At the beginning of this episode, they're coming up to this castle, and there's just one little jump scare, and I felt silly for being even scared by it, but it's like 4 a.m. and I'm watching this on my iPad trying to get ready for this review, and it frightened me. So that's maybe just me, but just be aware of that. Another thing I didn't like is this episode wasn't as fun. It didn't feel like a big series finale in the way that Falcon and Winter Soldier did, or the way that even WandaVision did. They had these, big spectacles at the end. You kind of expected this final battle, this final fight. There was maybe a little bit of that. There were some big reveals, like I already said, but it was mostly exposition. It was mostly talking, mostly trying to understand and learn new things. So it's not like this big explosions and action and all this kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that maybe for my kids, they might not see it at first as maybe as fun as some of the other final episodes of the series. But hopefully by the very end, they'll be able to see the big overall picture of everything. So finally, one thing I didn't like, and again, I don't want to give spoilers, but there's one kind of violent act that was a little uncomfortable, but is really important. I can't say more than that. I'd still let my kids see it. I just know my younger ones, might have some questions, and it's very interesting in the show because this show deals with timelines and variants and all this kind of stuff. And so it's like, do some of these actions matter? Do they not? There's still those questions by the end of this show, but that's okay. And I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. Okay, so again, would I share it? Yes, I would. My kids they're 12, 10, 7, and 5. And I think they'd be all fine watching it. I would want to watch it with them. It's a little bit of a heavier information show, maybe a little bit heavier content-wise. Like, it's not super child, kid-friendly, fun type stuff. So it would be good for you to be there. They're probably going to have some questions. But overall, it's a fun series. I think I would rank this series as my most favorite MCU series. It was like watching a movie. I still love WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. They're just different types of series. And I think this one was my favorite. Okay, so that's my review. It was a fun episode. watched it early this morning. I hope you like watching it with your kids as well. Some good questions that you could ask after watching this episode is, what are your predictions for these characters? So, that's the end of the first season. There's some big cliffhangers. There's some big things that happened. It would be a lot of fun to hear a kid's perspective on, what do you think is going to happen with Loki, with Sylvie, with even the Judge Renslayer, with Mobius, with all these characters. What's the next steps that you would want to see happen with them? I would also ask, how do you think this will change like the upcoming movies or series? Is this going to make an impact, and why? And finally, I would ask my kids, I'm offering my opinion on my overall thoughts of this season. What I would ask them, what are theirs? Do they rank their MCU shows the same way I have? What do they think overall? Is it a good series to watch? Were they glad they sat through it? Or where maybe they were super disappointed by the end? All right, so that's my thoughts and review about, if I would share this episode with my kids. If you've already watched it, or if you have any thoughts, please comment below. I would love to hear from you. If you like this video, hit the like, or see past reviews on past episodes of Loki or other Disney Plus shows. Hit the subscribe button and check them out. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.